Hi you all, how are you doing? I hope you all are great. Hope everybody is great at their own end. I've been out for some days, but everything is now cool. And I'm here to share a story again. And I believe this is a story that was quite known or is quite known. People are still watching because I, for one, I still watch the update. It's about Michelle Blair. So actually, I've watched so many versions of the story, but I took interest in the one told by her daughter, eldest daughter, Gabi Blair. That was the one I took interest in and wanted to share with you her own part of the story because I believe she's a real survivor. Like, I really did not want to take the version of Michelle Blair or whomever. I believe and I felt touched by Gabi's story and I want to share with you all because for me she's a real survivor. She's a fighter. She's I don't know what to describe her. She is a strong lady. Well, let me just jump quite quick into the story. Gabi was actually the eldest daughter or the eldest child of four children of Michelle because Michelle, their mom, had four kids and she was the eldest. Two girls and the two last were boys. And Gabi actually shared the same father with her second born, who is a girl, Tony. And the two youngest, Steven and the youngest boy, had their own dad. And actually, Michelle didn't actually live with either of their father because of her, should I say, temper or anger issues or whatever it was that she was displaying. She kind of drove them away. According to Gabi, the memory she had whenever their dad would come around to, like, you know, dad's visits for coming around to see, check on their kids, see how they're doing, even though they've separated. But their mom, Michelle, will always like bring up an argument. There was always a fight. She was always angry. She was like she's like a ticking bomb. It was just always anger. Something exploded like she always remember her fighting their dad. So she gave this term like their mom Michelle hated their dad because he would do everything for him to feel uncomfortable until one time they hardly ever saw him around. He was not coming anymore because, well, the environment was not good for him and they were left with just their mom. And when their dad would leave, their mom would take up the anger on them, like physically abusing them. It was just a hell in their house, like all sorts of abuse, punishment their mom would give on them. You know, these were just kids. Like, I don't really know where Michelle's soul was because these stories mostly about physical abuse, like torturing physical. There are some of them that I can't really talk deep into because it's I can't really bring myself to say it. But according to Gabi, they went through a lot. I'll give some instances that she talked about. Like their mom was just like I said, a ticking bomb. The slightest thing will trigger her and she will give them the beating of their life. It's not even like beating, like she will use weapons, tools, belts, anything she could hold, and lashed on them. Like iron burns. I don't know what extent, like what would get a mom to reach to an extent to hurt their children. Take an iron and burn your child or pour hot water running, like you're feeling, seeing your child in that pain, because the pain must make the child to scream and like be more than hurt. That that will not even trigger you continue doing, like these are the punishment that these children went on in this household. Like it was crazy. And well, there were Gabi, for her, she didn't really know what a normal childhood was, because she thought this was normal, or what they were going through in their home. Like, okay, maybe this is how all parents treat their children, because she doesn't really know what normal household or normal mom kid treat their children. Well, she watched TV. She watched how mom were nice with your children. Well, she thought, oh, those people are just acting. That could be a fairy tale. It's not real, because what I'm going through in my house, and nobody's saying anything, nobody's coming to their rescue. It feels like it's a normal situation. And in the outside world, Michelle Michelle Blair was a loving person. She was kind. She was giving. She was like, if you ask anybody outside, she's just loving person. So nobody knew her as a monster. Meanwhile, indoors she was something else, and so that's why nobody actually came to the aid, and that's what made Gabby thought like, oh, this was normal, So given the instances, like, their mom, she used to have odd jobs here and there, don't really want to do things to keep the family together, but later on, according to Gabby, she just quit, and she started using their money, feeding money that the government would give for their food and stuff, to buy drinks, drugs, and stuff like that. And they will sometimes run out of food, and they'll have to feed on canned potatoes for the whole day. And Gabby would describe that as horrible, that sometimes that up to date she doesn't even like canned potatoes because of those horrible experience. And the youngest children, kids, like, they voice out how they feel. They don't know how to, like, put, how can I say it? They voice out their feelings the way they feel. Like, they will not, they stay hungry or they don't have enough to eat, they'll tell their mom, and their mom will be angry at them, telling them to be, they're ungrateful, they are not happy that they've got even something to eat. They can't potatoes, they say, arguing or still saying they're hungry, it's not enough for them or stuff like that, and their mom just, instead of trying to get them something to eat, meanwhile it's their food money, it's their money that she's using to drink and get drugs, and she's just giving them canned potatoes, and they are not, no, that's not enough for them, and they'll even voice it out to tell her, and she'll be like, I don't care. And instead of listening to the kids or trying to make up something else for them to eat, she'll lash on them, insult them, calling them names, being grateful, and Gabby witnessed all of this, and sometimes she'll even give up her food for her youngest ones, because she's the one that actually took the role of a mom in the house now, because their mom just didn't care. So it all got so bad that she will always eat leftovers in school. Like, when there's always leftovers after the canteen period, she will like ask if she could take some, and that's where she feed from. It was just so bad. They were underweight, they were malnourished, and it will affect them a lot, but nobody actually noticed any of this from them. So that's why it made Gabby felt like this was normal, because the outside world nobody noticed, and so many people outside loved their mom. Their mom was this wonderful person, and indoors she was something else. So for Gabby, that was normal. That was normal because Like I said, nobody ever approached the mom to say this is bad or say something to stop the situation, or nobody noticed how they were being malnourished or underweight or nothing. So she thought that was normal. Again, given this incident, well, she, like I said, she's just a ticking bomb. They were just watching movies, and Gabi happened to comment on a character, like just saying how stupid the lady was, and the mom just got angry. Like, she just get angry, and you don't really know why she can get angry to that point. She got angry, started calling Gabby names to a point where she actually gave them a punishment. Gabby and the sister Stony. Stony, who didn't even say anything. She was just sitting and watching. It's Gabby who commented on the character, and she just got angry and decided to punish both of them to wall sit, like emulating sitting on the chair, but you actually on the wall. She actually told them to stay like that for like more than an hour while she was sitting and watching the rest of the movie. Like, I don't know what state Mitchell was on. Like, I don't know where she left her feeling of remorse, where she left her soul. Like, I can't really put it. Like, you just, for no reason. Like, if it's something big or you want to punish your kids, I can understand. But I don't really know. She left them there and finished her movie like for more than an hour just for a child just commenting on the character. So you can imagine the level of anger she had, or I don't know if she was anger issues or she was just an evil person. I don't really know. So that's just how it went on and on. Punishment, physical abuse, all sorts of. So there was this one time that they were in the bathroom and something happened again. Her mom got angry and used, the Babyliss machine and hit it on the Gabby's mouth. And she really felt her tooth was broken. And like when she turned, her mom realized, wow, she has done something really, really bad now. And she was just trying to cover up. Like, she just brought up a story that, well, if anybody asked you about this, you just say your brother did it. Like, your brother hit you with a toy, one of his toys, and something like that. Bringing up a cover up story, like. And immediately the doorbell rang, and Michelle's sister was the one at the door. That's Gabby's aunt, and she realized, and she was like, "What's Gabby like? What is wrong with you? Why are you having? What's wrong with your tooth?" And wow, lovely mother Michelle that everybody knows gave a cover-up story that, well, playing with the brother, and she did that, and the brother did hit her with one of his toys. That's what happened. And the aunt was even so concerned. I was like, you should go to the dentist, they're going to fix your tooth. And well, Gabby really wanted that because she really wanted her tooth to be fixed. And well, the mom brought up a story why Gabby doesn't want to go to a dentist, because she never actually took any of them for checkup. If she actually did, they were going to discover her secret and what she actually was, because there were always marks on the children's body, bruises. You could see the physical impact of all the abuse on the children's body. So that's why she will never take them for any visit at all. No medical visit, they were just there. So that's why she had to bring up a story to say why her daughter won't go to a dentist. And well, they brush it up, and that was it. The abuse continued. Everything, it just kept going on and on. Their home was just this abusive home, physically by their own mom. There were nowhere to run to. Like, this is your mom. Even everybody's left you in the world. This is somebody you can actually confine in. You know, there was this time even when Gabi had this nightmare that her mom got hit by a car and died. She was actually, this type of nightmare that looked so real. She was shaking and she ran down. When she woke up, she ran downstairs where her mom was sleeping on the couch. She woke up her mom and told her what happened. And her mom, instead of comforting her, like, even though they were living in that hell, she was still concerned about her mom. Imagine she had this nightmare, her mom died, and she was still concerned and was afraid for her mom's life. She went down to tell her mom, and her mom is screaming at her like, "You should go back to bed. Is that why you woke me up?" Like, shouting at her like, well, that's where Gabi knew she could never turn to her mom for comfort. Like, her mom was out of bounds for comfort. She was not just Gabi could not really remember any emotions their mom showed towards them. The highest emotion she could remember was just a good night kiss they would get from their mom. It was not really emotional. It's not like this good night kiss, bye, bye, good night. Oh, sorry, good night. No, that was the only thing that she felt that her mom did towards them that was emotional. So she couldn't get emotion from her kid, from her mom, no support, anything of that sort, no mother, daughter, relationship, love, nothing. So she just turned to books. She loved reading her books and stuff like that. She read books and found comfort in them, you know. Now, this one day when their youngest brother was playing with his toys, when kids play, kids are innocent. They play with things, they don't really put much meaning into it. So it happens that their youngest was playing with two of his toys and was actually like rubbing both of them together. And the mom came in and put meaning into it and was like, where did he see that from? And the little boy was just playing with his toys. Kids do that all the time. And she just immediately implied Stephen, who is the third of the siblings, did that to the youngest. And he was asking the youngest little child, like, who showed you this? Who did this to you? Did somebody do this to you? He was saying, did Stephen do this to you? And the little boy was saying no, refusing no. But she kept asking like with more and more emphasis, like shouting, like continue asking, even though the boy was saying no. And the little boy eventually said yes, out of fear or not knowing what else to say. He's just a little kid. It was just like maybe 2-3 years because he was not going to school. Imagine your mom asks you something, you say no. At one point of time, you can say yes because you don't know what else to say, and you feel threatened because mom's shouting and trying to force you to say something that she wants to hear. And when the little boy said yes, oh my God, she left, stormed out of the room, came back with his iron cord, tied it around Stephen's neck. Imagine Stephen was around 9 years old at the time. Tied it around his neck and flung him on her shoulder. Like when somebody lift off a bag of rice or beans or whatever and put it on the shoulder. That's how this lady, Gabi Blair, wrapped this cord around the son's neck and took him, I don't want to describe it more, took him to the master bedroom, shut the door behind, and Gabi couldn't tell what was going in the room, but she knew there were loads of beating that was going on there. Her mom was like, is teaching him a lesson because he has molested their youngest son. So that's evil. He's trying to get rid of that evil act and stuff like that. Can you imagine? There is no substantial evidence to prove that Stephen did this to the younger brother. There is nothing. You just saw him playing with two toys and immediately assumed that's what happened. Even after this little boy denied so many times, you just force the response on this boy to say yes, and immediately, that lady was just a thinking ball. Like, she would just do for anything to be angry. After this punishment, she didn't even let Stephen out of the room. She let Stephen without food and more beating and punishment for days. For days locked up in the room. And Gabi, she wouldn't know what to do. She didn't know what to turn up to. Like, who would listen to her? So after a week, the mom came to her in the kitchen and said, well, she believes she's going to release Stephen because she believes Stephen has learned his lesson. He's not going to do that anymore to the youngest brother. He's going to release him. And well, Gabi was a little bit relieved. And the younger brother is going to be released now. And before, the mom went upstairs to the room where Stephen was, and before she knew it, she heard mom calling her, screaming her name, and she ran upstairs to check what was going on, and she just saw her little brother Stephen lying on her mom, and the mom was like, come give your brother goodbye, come say goodbye to your brother. She was surprised what's going on, why is she coming to say goodbye. And Stephen was just this weak and was, with all the punishment, all the beating, his body, blood, he was just messed up and malnourished. No food for a week, and punishment and beating. He was giving up on his life. He was dying. And Gabi just remember her mom holding him and saying, I'm sorry, I love you, and Michelle was telling Gabi to tell the brother he loves her and kiss him goodbye and stuff like that, giving last emotional respect, something like that, according to her. And her mom was telling the little boy, Stephen, I love you. And in that moment, she also heard Stephen saying that heavy, tired, malnourished voice saying, I love you too. You can imagine the pure love from a child's heart to the parent. Like, this is a person that actually caused you that, but you're still saying I love you to the person. Like, I don't know. And he died, and she kissed her brother on the forehead, and after that her brother gave up the last breath and died. And all Gabi could remember was she just sank to the floor and cried her life out. They have been witnessing all sort of abuse, all sort of hardship, but none of them had died. Nobody has actually died from this. So this was a different level of pain to Gabi. Like, she didn't care if her mom was going to do something. She just wept her lungs out, cried. And before she knew it, that was not the way. Before she knew it, her mom wrapped up Stephen in a bedding or a blanket and told Gabi to help her lift Stephen up, not knowing what was happening, where they were going. Before she knew it, they went to where the freezer was, and the mom asked her to open the freezer, and she dumped Stephen's body in the freezer. She left Stephen's body there. She didn't know she was just surprised. She was marveled. She was baffled. Like, what on earth was going on? Her mom just left the dead body of her brother in their freezer in their home, wrapped in a blanket. this was another level of evil. Like, I don't know what else to describe. Like, she was, I can just imagine the horror that Gabi felt during those past few days. She didn't know what to do. Each time before they left for school, their mom would make them recite or tell the backup story of disappearance of Stephen. Why is Stephen not coming to school? We say either Stephen was with their aunt or with their dad, giving up stories, and their mom will make them rehearse this over and over again till she's convinced that it's actually true before she let them out of the door. Like, Gabi wanted so much to tell someone, but who was going to believe her? Who was she going to tell? This is your mom, who is loving to the outside where everybody loved her. Who, like, she didn't know where to begin with. After that incident, their mom kind of calmed down for a while, for some months, until something triggered her up again. And she just heard in the living room her mom questioning the last born again, the youngest, that has their daughter, Stoney, did the same thing he was accusing late Stephen with, that has she sexually abused him. The little boy kept refusing as usual, and he was forcing him and like saying he was going to beat him up if he doesn't say the truth. And the little boy, out of anger, out of fear again, accepted that, yeah, Stoney had actually been abusing him sexually. And boom, this lady jumped on Stoney. Her usual physical abuse taken on her and stuff all over her body. And Gabi was so afraid because she had witnessed something like this before happen, and her brother happened to die. So she was just praying and begging this will not happen at the same time. But again, there was nothing she could do. She doesn't know where to turn to. She doesn't know who to talk to. She doesn't know. There is nothing within her powers. There is nothing she can actually do. Nobody to run to, And Stoney was actually going through the same punishment and stuff like that. But within that time, I don't know what happened. She received a letter, or she got told there was going to be this check. The social server was coming around to check. I don't know if it was a normal random check that they do all the time, but they were coming to the house to check. Oh, this made her to panic a little. She began to panic. Oh, they don't have to come and say anything. And she told Gabi to scrub the house, like make it spotless, because doing all those abuse, physical abuse, there were always blood around, because she would hit these children health on the wall, burn them with iron, hit them with whatever weapons she would find, belt, chair, whatever. So the house was just in a mess, So she had Gabi to clean up everything. And since Stoney was actually under punishment because of what she claimed she was doing to the youngest, Stoney didn't look physically okay. If these inspectors came in, they would actually notice something was going on. So she asked Stoney to go lie under the bed, and they just covered this bed with the bed cover that was like quite large, and it would cover right under the bed where Stoney was. And she told Stoney to stay quiet and don't say a word. So that's how Stoney was hid, and they came up with the story why she was not around, like Stephen. And when the inspectors came, like, she was always there talking to them, like bringing up a story, like to distract them, And neither Gabi or Stoney could stay a word because, this is their mom. They live in fear of her. They didn't say anything. So the inspectors came and left. And the abuse continued. She continued doing the same, continued with the punishment with Stoney until this time, I don't know, she just started hitting Stoney to the extent of making her unconscious. She just took one of these weapon was a chair or what, I don't know, and hit it right up to the temple of Stoney. And Gabby could see Stoney head open, and this blood was just pouring out. And what she described was her mom was cheerful about it. She was like, "Oh look, yeah, your temple opened." You know, she was cheerful about the situation. Like she was happy she done that. She's cheering up herself and the situation. Like happy that this hurt she's impacted on her daughter. Like that's crazy. Like you've actually wanted to try to. This is a well. That's what happened, and Stoney was unconscious. You know, the blood pouring out, her head up, her temple was quite open, no treatment, nothing, and her mom was just there, and she was not even dead. Her mom did the same thing that she had done to Stephen, wrapped her up with a blanket. Stoney was still trying to breathe, asked Gabby again for help to put Stoney in the freezer. Gabby was just, she, look, this girl didn't know what to do. She just had to follow her mom. She helped her put her in the freezer, and she told she could feel Gabby was still trying to catch breath, and her mom took a plastic rug to try and suffocate Stoney right in the freezer, like trying to suffocate her to die. You're leaving your daughter in the freezer who is not even dead. And it was not happening. And she was like, you know what? You either way you're still gonna die, you're gonna stay in the freezer, you're gonna die. So and she closed the freezer. She left her daughter partly conscious in the freezer and closes it. And she turned to Gabby and was like, "Don't cry for that bitch. She deserves all what she's having. She molested your younger brother. Don't cry for her." You can imagine, like, the trauma that Gabby, after experiencing all of this, like, it's too much. Like, and Gabby said she really felt more guilty about this because at least Stephen's case, the last image Stephen have of them was her saying love him, kissing him on the forehead. But Stoney actually, the last image was she's seen Gabby helping her mom put her alive. In this were the things that could never leave her. Like even though her wounds healed and were healing and stuff, but these are the ones that will never heal because it struck her right in the heart. Like I don't know the state of mind of Gabby. Like she's really strong. She's really strong. And well, she came up again with another cover story of Stoney. And each time she'll go to the grocery store, each time she'll send her to the grocery store, always tell her, "You don't go and tell anybody, threaten her. If you tell anybody, our blood is going to be on you because I'm going to kill your youngest brother and kill myself, and you're going to be guilty for everything." So in Gabby's head, she knew if anything could happen, they were all going to die. They were all going to die. So that's why it made her not to even think of saying anything to anybody, like think of even reporting the case. So things kept going on and on and on until 2015 when their mom received an eviction notice because she's not actually paying rent. And this made her furious because eviction notice means people will come in and get your things out, and then all her secret will be poured out to the public. So it made her really furious. She was really angry and all. And Gabby, in her mind, she was like, "Oh, this is the end of it all. We're all gonna die." Because well, mom has threatened that if somebody ever finds out her secret, she's gonna kill everybody. So Gabby was just like, "Okay, this is the end." She was just waiting for her mom to come and just finish with them or kill all of them because they were going to find out the secret. But to her surprise, her mom took her and the youngest and said they were going to the neighbors. She was surprised and happy at the same time that, well, they're not going to die. Her mom took them to the neighbor and asked the neighbor if they could stay for a while. And the mom said everything. She confessed, like, she said Stephen and Stony have actually been dead for 2 years now. She's been lying, and wow, that's shocking. That's what she told the neighbor. And whilst Gabi was upstairs, she put on the TV and saw on the news, wow, police were everywhere. Definitely the neighbor called on the police and they were everywhere. She was just seeing her house covered as a crime scene and things were just going on. Her mom got arrested. And there they discovered everything, the body in the freezer, and if they couldn't even make out whose body was, until after autopsy they could realize that was a little Stony and the brother Stephen. And she was not even remorseful. Michelle Blair was not even remorseful. She said she did what she had to do because these kids were molesting the youngest one and she couldn't allow that to continue, and she would do it again if given a chance. She was just this aggressive woman. She was not even remorseful for having killed her children and put in the freezer and making her eldest daughter to witness that trauma, mental state, emotional state of this girl. Like, she didn't even care. Even the little one, some people might think, oh, he's still a baby, but there are some memories that will stick in him. She was not even remorseful about it. And luckily, since she was insisting that she did that because they molested the youngest son, a medical examination was done on this boy and it was found that no traces of abuse were done on this little boy. He was not sexually abused, no traces, nothing at all. So where did she get this theory from? Even if that was the case, is that how you have to go about it? Killing your children? Like, that was so heartbreaking for a mom to do that. Like, I don't know how Gabi really survived this, because she was the eldest and their youngest. Well, she might have a little one or two memories, but not as Gabi, because Gabi was the eldest and her mom made her participate in all this evil act. That must have messed up. She survived the murder, but I believe the trauma will go on with her. She will be, like she said, for so many years she was depressed. She didn't even know how to control her emotion, and I could well understand with her. I can't even put myself in her shoes. Like, she's the strongest. She went through a lot. That's why her story was really touching. Like, I don't even want to talk about the version of her mom, because the mom will be like, she was asking for the death penalty, but wow, they gave her a life sentence with no possibility of parole. She has to stay alive to witness everything. Like, death is quite easy. Yeah, death penalty was easy. I love the judgment they found her guilty and they gave her, sentenced her to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Yeah, that was Michelle's sentence. Like, I want to say big shout out to Gabi. She's a survivor. She's strong. Like, for this case, I don't even know what to say, because Gabi was actually abused by the one only person that she could turn to no matter what, her own mom. Who else she could turn to? School, relatives who believe her with all the threat the mom was giving. How could she bring herself to even tell someone? Like, I just so thank God the eviction notice came in on time that it came, because I know for certain, as time went by, something could have triggered her up again, and Gabi could have been the next victim, and later on, the youngest could have been the victim. She could have wiped up the whole family if the eviction notice didn't come. Well, thank goodness it came. Like, I think that's why the system needs to, like, well, I don't know how the system works in America, but yeah, at least there is a checkup for children when they are young with doctor, a child doctor, pediatric. They always check up when they're young, every month or every 2 months, or till when they're adult. Like, that way, if there's anything, if the child is malnourished or the child is not well taken care of, somebody will know. And now in school, they don't just teacher do ask question of how your home is. Now children can freely speak up if something is happening. I think that was a good way to solve most of children that actually really being abused in their homes, that are actually really suffering in their homes. Yeah, I just want to say big shout out to Gabi. She's a survivor. She's a strong lady, and I hope and I pray she get better things in life and try to suppress this depression, and God just send somebody that will make her really see life differently and live her life to the fullest. It's not easy journey. Her mom made her witness a lot of things that no child should witness or do, and they had to play a lot in her psychology. Like, she really needs all the support, all the love, or the prayers that she can get. Well, that's all for now. I hope we all do keep safe and love our children that we bring to this world, no matter what. Even though we fall out with their dads, we shouldn't put the anger on the children. They are innocent. They didn't ask to come to this world. They didn't ask for us to have problem with their dad. They're just innocent. Bye for now. See you for the next story.